head thing won't go down. Oh, this is like the manual. It's cool. Okay, cool. You know those tutorials on how to not die? You know, the ones that's like, if somebody chokes you from behind, do that thing with the chair. I can do that. It's like, I won't be dying today. This argument I want to make was something, or is something, I guess, I've been thinking about for a while. It kind of has two arguments that I'm going to be addressing. But one is the fact that rich people can't have problems because they're rich. And also kind of like celebrities and famous people and stuff like that. And this is also going to bleed into the happiness. Wait, what? The money doesn't buy happiness argument. I see this argument all the time on the internet, all the time in videos, where people just are completely disconnected from the fact that if you have money, you can still be sad and miserable. For a lot of people, that seems unfathomable. Like you can't be both. I just feel like whenever like a rich person or a celebrity starts talking about their problems, a lot of them being like mental problems or just any other stressors that they're having in their life, there's always that one person that comments or says something like, oh, well, I wish I had $1 million to worry about. First world problems. And it's like, so are you saying they can't have other problems because they have money? What is that supposed to mean? Or I'll see people be like, oh, you know, I want to feel bad for them, but they're rich, so I don't see why I should give them my sympathy. And it's like, what? So you can't feel bad for them because they're rich, so they shouldn't have problems, is what you're saying. Not being able to feel bad for somebody, or at least have sympathy or empathy for somebody just because they have what you don't and they're more fortunate, doesn't really make any sense. That just sounds more like prejudice than like an actual reason not to want to give any sympathy, or why you feel like they don't deserve sympathy. That just sounds like you being mad that they have $1 million, so going on Twitter and angrily typing about how they have $1 million and you don't, you know, instead of actually doing something to get $1 million. Like completely determining your feelings towards somebody's issues based on the fact that they have more than you doesn't make any sense at all. And yeah, I get that there's a lot of rich people who do tend to be kind of scummy with their money and basically make everybody feel dumb about themselves for the fact that they don't have money. Like that one girl, Curtis Connor did a video on her or whatever, but there was this girl who was like complaining about having to buy different tickets, I think, for like a Harry Styles concert or something like that. She was basically talking about how she got to buy more, like buy another seat, or she didn't get the seat that she wanted, and it cost like what, $8,000, $10,000, and she was like, oh, I had to spend $10,000 on this ticket and it was worth it or whatever. And she's literally been to like 1 million Harry Styles concerts, in which a lot of us have never even been to a concert. Me definitely didn't come off right, and a lot of people were like, okay, yeah, way to just rub it in our faces that we're all poor. Yeah, that's like bad execution of that. That's definitely not really a big problem everyone can relate to. Or that other time, I believe it was during the pandemic, but wasn't there like a post or something that a bunch of celebrities made where they all took their yachts and their fancy expensive boats, they all brought it together in their probably private waters and spelled like "we got this" or something like that. I know it was there before. I'll have to look for it. If I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen. There are times like that where it definitely doesn't come off the right way, and it's, of course, it's kind of hard to be like, okay, yeah, well, this is definitely not something I can give sympathy for, because there's really no reason to. Like, their problems are not problems that everybody has. But that's in the financial space. There are other problems that rich people can have that don't involve finances, that finances can also not fix. Some of these people really feel like money is just supposed to fix everything. Like if a celebrity complains about anything, literally anything, like, guys, I haven't been in a great mental space lately, or guys, you know, I've been feeling kind of sick lately, or guys, I just lost my grandma. And you'll always just have that one person being like, oh, your grandma died? Why don't you just buy yourself a new grandma? If money was supposed to solve everybody's problem, then why were there still, and are there still, so many upper class people and rich people and celebrities who are mentally struggling, or having a hard time even getting up out of bed in the morning, or a lot who even took their own lives. There are a lot of celebrities who did that. And it's like, well, they have money. What was their problem? Why did they do that? They had money. I don't see any reason why they would have anything to worry about. This is where I'm going to get into the classic argument of money can't buy happiness. Now, I know this saying is very overly used, so for a lot of people, it's very cheesy. And I also know the majority of people being either middle or lower class, it's a hard concept to fathom, because it's like, what do you mean? A lot of my problems are financial problems, which is true. Very true. Financial problems are a big stressor in a lot of people's lives, but that doesn't mean those are the only stressors in your lives. You have other stressors in your life. That could be relationship and family issues. That could be school, education issues. That could be mental health issues. There are so many other things in life that are huge stressors that contribute to the overall problem of intense stress, which is why I want to clarify the saying of money can't buy happiness, because a lot of people tend to take that in just a very literal way. I don't want to get too philosophical or anything, but happiness is not a constant state. You cannot stay happy your whole life. That's just impossible. You cannot understand the truest heights of happiness if you have not fallen to the pits of despair. So therefore, there is no way you can always be happy. You're going to be sad, you're going to be stressed out, you're going to be depressed at certain times in your life. You're supposed to have those highs and lows. For a lot of people, there tend to be more lows than highs, and for others, more highs than lows. The point is, you cycle through them. It is not a constant state. And once again, there are other things that can elicit those types of stress and depressive episodes or states that you're supposed to be in. For a lot of people who thinks that once they get a bunch of money, that's just the end of all their problems, there are still problems that come with having a bunch of money. One, and probably one of the biggest, this isn't a statistic or anything, this is just me, my sources are trust me bro, but one of the biggest, voice crack, one of the biggest ones is just family issues and relationship issues and not being able to trust people because you have money. Because the minute you have money and people see that, everybody comes with hands outstretched like, gimme, where's mine? I want some too. I cannot tell you how many family members that I have that my mom tells me, oh yeah, your uncle, he lives somewhere all the way across the world because he has a bunch of money. So he can't stay around family because everyone's going to drain him out. That's why you've never met him. And I'm like, oh, cool. People just feel like they are obligated to whatever funds you have. So that could make a lot of people have to move away and live alone. And that could cause loneliness. That could cause depression. That could also just cause sadness because they can't share their wealth. Because if they want, like, it's really fun to buy stuff for people. I love Christmas and birthdays, other people's birthdays, because I like to get stuff for people. So if you're like that, you have all this money, all this wealth, and you want to spend it on somebody, you have a fear of them taking advantage of that. You don't know who to trust, you become paranoid, you probably have to go live in a cabin somewhere in the woods alone. That's exaggerate, but I mean, a lot of people do it, and that can just trickle down into a whole bunch of other stressors in your life, still coming from all of that money that you have. Another thing that I feel like a lot of people don't realize or even take into consideration is being able to maintain that money. You do realize that if you win the lottery, that's not going to be an every time thing. You're going to have to maintain that money. Now, if it's a ridiculous number, like, I don't know, 300 million, I mean, I don't know. I guess you could retire. That could last you your whole lifetime. If you were to get like a big check from their job or whatever, or again, just get a big lump sum of money, you might get trigger happy and just be like, quit your job, go buy yourself some new stuff, a new house, a new car, spend. Nothing's coming in. And now you're just going to go back to rock bottom because you aren't maintaining your money. And this is what a lot of people tend to do when they first get like a bunch of money. This is how certain celebrities end up going from really rich to rock bottom once again, because they just didn't know how to maintain and keep that money coming in, which makes things worse because it's like, well, now you knew what life could have been like if you had a lot of money, and now you don't once again. So that can make that depressive stage even worse. There are so many problems that come with finances that could could mess up your life. Even if financial problems aren't going to be a main stressor in your life anymore, that does not mean you have no stressors at all whatsoever. Having a bunch of money can't really fix a lot of the more abstract problems, I guess, that you might have. And people normally say, oh, people who say money can't buy happiness has clearly never been poor before or never struggled with bills before. Like, they're clearly just privileged and always had money, and that's why they can say that. No, you're wrong. Because I have been through probably every bracket of financial stability you could be in. I mean, not like stupid, filthy rich, but my parents were always pretty good with money. But there were times where we did struggle a lot. Struggled to pay bills, lived in a shelter, had to go on food stamps. There were nights where we couldn't even have proper dinner. We had peanut butter and jelly for dinner. I remember that very clearly. But also, I was a kid, so I don't think I understood the severity of the situation. So I was perfectly fine with having peanut butter and jelly for dinner. But there were times where we were not like homeless or like, severely poor, but we were struggling, just like the majority of us tend to be. There were other times where we were able to do nicer things. A perfect example, actually, I'm not bragging about everything I'm about to say. This is just a very good example of what I'm trying to argue. My 17th birthday, my parents were nice enough to be able to take all of us, not just me, but all of us to California for the first time. They got us like a really nice hotel to stay in. They bought me really nice clothes for my birthday. Like, I felt so bad for all of the things that they were doing for me because I felt like I couldn't appreciate it. Because sure, like, materialistic things are nice. And also, of course, the money can't buy happiness for a lot of people. It's like, well, what do you mean? I could buy nice things. I could buy myself clothes. I can buy myself the car and the clothes that I want and the house I want. Like, what do you mean? If you're not really materialistic, like I'm not really materialistic, then those things are very temporary sources of happiness. I was very appreciative for everything that they did for me. I had all these nice clothes. I got to go to a whole new state. We got to live in this nice hotel. All tangible, materialistic things. Literally that night at the end of my birthday, when everyone was done celebrating and going to sleep, I still had an existential crisis. I was still worried about so many things, realizing I was 17. Next year I was going to be 18 and I would be an adult. I don't know what the heck I wanted to do with myself. I just was not in a great mental space, and it made it very difficult to just have fun and enjoy the things that were being given to me, that money gave to me. And again, I understand how privileged I am to be able to do that and go to another state and travel. Even though I had all these cool things that money bought, it wasn't really enough to build my self-esteem. It wasn't really enough to clear my head of future anxieties. It didn't give me any mental stability. Like, it didn't do all those things that people think money is going to completely do for them. Those were all things that money cannot fix or change because it's not supposed to. Because those stressors are other stressors. They're not financial stressors. And I don't want to say all this to make it seem like, oh, you don't really need money in life. I am all for people wanting to grind for money and wanting to go get as much money as they can. There is absolutely nothing wrong with liking money and wanting to have a lot of it, because you can do very nice things with it. You can, and it can relieve your sadness for just a bit. That's perfectly fine if you want to go get $1 million or work for it, or I don't know, win the lottery. The point is, if you want money, that's fine. Go get it. This isn't me saying that you don't really need to have money to be happy, because other people have different definitions of happiness. That's why the argument is so subjective, because it's like, if you don't know how it feels to have enough funds to put food on the table, to be able to pay your bills without being scared of where the funds are going to come from, of course you're going to want more money. Of course that is going to be your main goal and your main stressor. Understandable. That is perfectly fine if your goal in life is to make a lot of money so that you can be financially stable. All I'm saying is that finances and wealth and money cannot rid you of all of your stressors. It's not going to happen. You always are going to have something to complain about. You're always going to have something that stresses you out. You're always going to suffer because of something, because that's what you're supposed to do. So I just don't want people to think that when they win the lottery or they get a bunch of money or they work this really good job that pays well, that's it. Everything's going to be perfectly fine. Skin's going to be clear. Relationship's going to be perfect. Life is going to be good all the time. It's not. There are going to be times where you hit that low again, where you get depressed, where you feel like you can't get out of bed in the morning, where even your Lamborghini that you like to drive at 300 miles per hour doesn't give you that same thrill. That is going to happen. That is just the way life works. That's what, at least for me, what it means when people say money can't buy happiness. Inherently, nothing can buy happiness per se, obviously. It's not supposed to be taken literally. Nothing can buy happiness. Sure, money can buy you things that make you happy, but those things are very temporary and thus gives you that temporary happiness that you're supposed to have. Which is also, again, the reason I'm just kind of you know, advocating for the upper class and being like, just because they have money doesn't mean their problems aren't legitimate. Doesn't mean they can't have mental health problems. Doesn't mean they can't have stressors. Doesn't mean they can't have other things in life that are bothering them that isn't financial, because finances isn't gonna fix everything. I'm playing devil's advocate right now because it's so much easier for people to just be like, oh, rich people, I can't feel bad for them because they have everything figured out with their finances. And it's like, bro, this is why they don't like us, okay? This is why they don't like the lower classes. This is why they see us as riffraff, okay? Because we do stuff like this. I'm trying to be friends with a rich person. I don't know, it might be cool and nice to have a rich friend, okay? But I can't do that if we keep roasting them. So rich people, I advocate for you, okay? I feel your pain, not exactly, but I feel your pain, you know? I've never driven a Lamborghini before, just saying. Might be kind of nice. Anyways, all jokes aside, that's what I wanted to say. That's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Thank you very much for watching. I will try my best to be more alive on YouTube. Again, not that many of you are following me. There's like 100, I think, like 150 of you who subscribe to my channel. Thanks. I'll try to post more. Bye. Oh my gosh, imagine if I didn't press record.